Welcome to Connecting to Source with Rev Stephon. I am your host, Rev Stephon. Welcome. This is episode 3. This is episode number 3, okay? Even though there are more episodes loaded, this is episode number 3. Welcome, beloved ones. Today we explore one of Scripture's most profound teachings about our inner journey. It is the story of Cain and Abel, and I have a lot of notes. And so this is episode 3, Cain and Abel, navigating the higher and lower self. Okay, and as we do, we're going to open up. We're going to make sure that we create a sacred space, that we create a safe container. And so we're going to have our opening meditation, okay? Everybody close your eyes, take in a deep breath. Remember to feel your diaphragm, right? Diaphragm, baby breathing is what I call it. Take in a deep breath, hold it, and exhale slowly. Remember, we're always going to inhale the positivity and exhale the negativity, right? One more. Deep breath in, hold it, slowly exhale out. One more. Inhale positivity, exhale negativity. Now, I want you to center into your being where higher and lower meet, where integration happens, where wholeness emerges. Feel both aspects of self, lower and higher. The sacred union is made possible, where divine balance is available. Okay? Again, one more. Deep breath in, hold it, slowly exhale. Breathe in that positivity. Exhale that negativity. One more. Deep breath in, exhale. Right. So we're going to talk about this inner symbolism, right? This story of Cain and Abel reveals our inner journey, okay? It is the inner duality. There are these brothers. We know the story of Cain and Abel. Cain slew Abel, and because his gift wasn't accepted, we know that the literal interpretation of that, right? So here are these brothers, right? But I want you to think of these brothers as aspects, right? That these are aspects, not human brothers, human siblings, but aspects. Cain and Abel represents aspects within consciousness. Okay, not just historical figures, but universal principles within each person. Cain is earth consciousness. It's ego self. It's egocentric. It's material focused. And Abel represents spirit consciousness. It's higher self, right? Divine connection. Let me go to some notes that I had taken some time ago. About that goes a little deeper. Cain and Abel. Cain equals possession. In fact, it means acquisition. Cain means acquisition. And it's part of the consciousness that works to acquire or to possess selfishly. Now, we know a lot of people, right? We know a lot of people that are selfishly looking to acquire or to possess, right? Who are materialistic. And he was a tiller of the ground. And so to be a tiller of the ground, remember, this is earth consciousness. So to be a tiller of the ground implies that Cain belonged to the earthly realm. Cain, or those who have a Cain spirit, belong to the earthly realm. Okay, so Cain means possessor, Cain means acquisition, whereas Abel, right, means breath. Abel means breath, and it connects him with the spiritual realm. So the Hebrew word that is used in the first, in Genesis, it talks about that God breathed his breath, right? That word also means spirit, right? Also means spirit, means breath, and means wind. It's called ruach, okay? So again, the Cain, is linked to the earthly realm, and Abel is linked to the spirit realm, Okay. So, so we know that Cain was born first. Some people think that they may have been twins because in the language it says that Adam knew his wife and then she bore Cain, and then it doesn't say that he knew her again. Okay, in the biblical sense, right? But anyway, so we'll go with the significance. Even if they are twins, right? Cain comes out first. Okay, so there is a birth order significance. First and second born symbolize the natural development of consciousness, right? The physical awareness comes first. Remember, earthly realm, physical, possessive. So the physical awareness comes first. We are aware of our physical surroundings. We are aware of material things. We are aware of our physical nature, which is our lower nature. Okay, we are aware of our earth consciousness. Okay, so spiritual awareness, which is later, it develops later. That's Abel or Havel, right? Havel is our spiritual awareness. We develop that spiritual awareness. We develop that spiritual awareness. We are aware of the physical things around us, but we did begin to develop our spiritual awareness. Now, both of these are necessary for wholeness. Both of these are necessary for balance, because we know that if we're not in balance, we're at dis-ease, okay? And we know what happens when we're in disease, right? And so, but the thing is that we must have a integration of both. We must have an integration of both. Okay. So again, Cain represents lower nature, ego self, and earth consciousness and the material focus, whereas Abel represents a higher consciousness, the spiritual self, divine consciousness, and sacred offering. Remember, that they each bring offerings to God, and God rejects one and accepts the other. So Abel represents, or Havel represents a divine offering. Okay, so they have sacred occupations. Both of them have sacred occupations. Their work represents different approaches to life. Okay. Their work represents different approaches to life. You had tiller of the ground. Cain was a tiller of the ground, which is material focus, right? It's form manipulation, right? It's form manipulation, which means physical form, right? Physical form. Whereas Havel, Abel, was keeper of the sheep, which is spiritual guidance and consciousness tending. Remember that the consciousness is the garden that we must continue to tend, and we must continue to weed, right, and nurture. But keeper of the sheep is more guided by by the spirit, or guided by God. Okay, by God. Now, both are valid and necessary, but again, we must have balance. We must have balance. Okay, and so we have this sacred. These sacred occupations, and both of them are just different approaches to life. Different approaches to life. Okay, so let me see my notes. We talked about that they brought an offering to God. They brought their offering to God. In the Hebrew, let's see. The offering is korban. Offering is korban, right? And Kaban, let me make sure, I want to make sure it's Korban, Korban. And I want to make sure that, okay, so in my notes, it says offering or Kaban is from the root kavev, which is closeness or to draw close. Okay, so offering means, closeness or to draw close, to draw close. Now, I want to give something that we talked about, but there's another thing that I want you to note about Abel, or the name Abel or Havel. We talked about it meaning breath, but it also means vapor or nothingness. Nothingness. And again, Cain means basically ego, right? So for Cain, he was the only, it's also synonymous with existence. So for Cain, he was the only one. In his eyes, he was the only existence. He was the only one that existed. He had a huge ego. So nothing else can exist. For him, Abel cannot exist. Right? As far as the material mind is concerned, it is egocentric, and nothing else matters but material possession. Nothing else matters. Not spiritual attainment, but material possessions. And so Abel, Havel, meaning nothingness, or it also means to be emptied. Okay, to be emptied. So their korban, which is to draw close, one is from a place of selfishness, and the other one is one of, from a place of spiritual emptiness. Okay, ego is not in play for Abel. Okay, so these the offerings reveal consciousness alignment. Okay, the offerings reveal consciousness alignment. Cain, right? Cain, for him, his was effort without alignment. It was all about what he did. Okay, because it's all about him. And for Abel, it's alignment before effort. It's aligning with the Spirit before effort. In fact, not even taking any credit, because what? He was tending to what God had provided, what God had given. Okay, so in this offering, with these offering dynamics, there is a divine recognition of intention. Remember that when you set an intention, want to set an intention every day, set an intention for your life, set an intention for your goal, set an intention on how you're going to approach life. So there is a divine recognition of intent. Okay, the divine recognize the intent. Recognize Cain's intent was more about him. More about, that part of the consciousness, whereas Abel was about the alignment, about giving honor to the position that it was in, was a good steward. Okay, and so the heart of consciousness is important. Right, as we get to the heart of the matter, of why you do a thing is important. Your intent. All right, behind it. So, their offerings teach us about inner alignment, sacred intention, divine acceptance, what you do for God will laugh, and true worship. Okay, so now, but this brought conflict. Remember, the rejection of the offering brought conflict. It brought conflict. So within us, with these, different types of forms of consciousness, there is an inner struggle. we know, of what we should do, but a lot of times we don't do what we should do. And even though we know that we should do it, right? There's this inner struggle. The conflict represents the inner dynamics of consciousness, right? The inner dynamics of consciousness. Rising anger, right, which is resistance to a higher truth. Cain's anger, just how he got so angry enough to kill his brother, kill a part of him off, was, his resistance to a higher truth. And that truth was he was more aligned, to material things than with an earthly conscience than he was about, the offering and connecting with his higher truth. And there is this divine warning, within that. It's that the consciousness is a choice. Within this is a choice point. Right? There is a choice. We always have a choice. We're in between decisions. And there's always, basically, in scripture says, that God said that sin is always at the door, right? That sin is always at the door. The lower tendency is always present, right? Taking the wrong route, having the wrong attitude, doing the wrong thing is always at the door. Okay, being more material focused than spiritual focus is always at the door. The lower tendency is always present. Now, we must come up with, a conscious mastery, because we must rule over this lower tendency. We must rule over, this part of our consciousness. So we have to develop a conscious mastery. And I'm just, it's not, I'm not, we know it's not it. I'm just preaching to the choir, basically, that we know that is not, it's easier said than done, right? It's easier said than done. Easier said than done. So on this korban, this offering, this emptying, right? Well, the tension came about where Abel's offering was accepted, while Cain's korban was rejected. Meaning that when the consciousness is permeated with spiritual ideas, it is closer to the divine, and it's more acceptable to Jehovah. Is more acceptable to the Lord than when it is filled with material or worldly thoughts. Okay, so this brought about the tension. Cain grew angry. He slew Abel, representing the overcoming of the spiritual nature by the carnal nature. Right? We experience this when our spiritual impulses, Havel or Abel, are overthrown by our jealousy and our anger or our jealousy, which is Cain. Okay? When the consciousness is dominated by its lower self, right, which is in a violation of divine law, one meets with hardships. When we are disobedient to spiritual law or our higher self, of our being, we bring negative conditions into our lives, right? And we feel like it's more than we can bear. Right? And so what do? We go into ourselves. We go into this land of Nod, right? And that's where we dwell. That's where we dwell. And so, there was this mark that was put upon Cain, right? We know about this mark that was put upon Cain, right? So we have to understand what this mark is. We have to understand what this mark is. So the mark isn't punishment, but divine protection. Remember, Cain is fearful, that once he's found out that those that dwell in Nod are going to kill him. And so, and then, God makes this, makes this determination, that those who seek out to destroy Cain will themselves be pretty much destroyed. So let me do this. Let's see. The mark isn't punishment, but divine protection. It's consciousness cannot be destroyed, even if it is earthly consciousness, even if it is lower consciousness, it cannot be destroyed. Cannot be destroyed. Okay, so you remember we talked about, it becomes more than we can bear. So Genesis 4:13 said, but Cain, this is the I like this is the God's word version. It says, but Cain said to the Lord, my punishment is more than I can stand. You have forced me off this land today. I have to hide from you and become a fugitive, a wanderer on the earth. Now anyone who finds me will kill me. So the Lord said to him, not so, not so. Anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times. So the Lord gave Cain a sign or a mark so that anyone meeting him would not kill him. So this mark is not a punishment, but it is a mark of protection. Even, right? There is grace. There is grace even when our, when our focus is off, when our intention is off, not, as divine or as spiritual as it should be, there is still grace. Okay. So the mark isn't punishment, but divine protection, right? Our consciousness cannot be destroyed. All aspects of our consciousness serve a purpose. It is about integration over elimination. Okay, so I don't want you to go out there and start thinking that you are going to somehow, get over your earthly tendencies, your desire to have material possessions and things like that, even your ego. But it's more about integration over elimination. Right? So when we have this mindset, then transformation is transformation is possible, and there's potential for transformation, which means we can still move towards what? Our spiritual selves. We can still move towards our spiritual selves. Okay, so now again, we have this. He's wandering, right? So he's a wanderer, becomes a fugitive. And what does that mean? Yeah. So we're still in the east of Eden, right? The journey eastward again symbolizes movement in the consciousness. So his wandering represents what? It represents him a movement in consciousness. Right? We begin to learn through experience, and our greater lessons are what? Learned through the things we have to overcome. Okay, so and it's also about there is sometimes separation is necessary. Let's just say that. Sometimes in order, for us to be able to, really do work, we must separate. There must be a separation. And so we know that there's growth through challenge. There's growth through challenge. So this journey, this wandering towards the east, because everything is important. Direction is important. This journey towards the east means a new beginning. Right? It is a sacred wandering. And why? Because in this wandering, we find purpose. And when we find purpose, we find that we have a divine revelation. Okay, so this journeying, right? This wandering it represents a new beginning. It is a sacred wandering. It is about finding our true purpose. Right, and it's about the divine. Right, it's about the revelation of the divine inside of us. Okay, so that we have the land of Nod, and Nod means wandering. Right, Nod means wandering. It is a seeking state. Right, finding new purpose. It is our consciousness. A consciousness exploration, and we begin to develop our identity, our spiritual. We begin to develop our spiritual selves. Okay. All right. Cool. So again, none of this is important if we don't leave you with some way to put this into practice, some practical implementation. So here's the thing. And there is a inner knowledge. We must first, have this inner knowledge, understanding that there is this duality, inside of us, a higher and learner and lower self. So we must acknowledge it. We must acknowledge that there is this lower self. And we have to do what? We have to honor both aspects. We have to honor both Cain and Abel inside of it. We have to honor that. And we feel each. We feel the energy of each. Okay, we must notice that resistance. There is a resistance there, but we would do what? Instead of there's an integration. Instead of getting rid of, there must be this integration. So we welcome the wholeness, and then we have we must have a sacred offering from our heart with pure intention in divine service, and all of this must be done through love. All of us must be done through love. So, we want to activate this. We want to be with full intention and activate this. So place one hand over your heart and one hand on your belly. And I want you to begin to feel these energies merge. One represents your Cain, one other represents your Abel. I want you to feel the higher and lower uniting. Allow the integration, accept all aspects, and know that divine love holds all. Okay? So throughout your week, I want you to have this morning integration, acknowledging all parts of you, and bless each aspect of you. Bless the Cain in you, bless the Abel in you, or the Havel. Set a unified intention. And remember, we have a midday check-in where we notice all triggers. We choose our response. There's always a choice of how we respond, but we return to center. And then in the evening, we will have our evening review. We want to honor the journey, honor the wandering, and bless all experiences and welcome wholeness. Welcome wholeness. So as we do our closing meditation, as we close our sacred exploration, I want you to feel your wholeness. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel your wholeness. Feel your divine integration. Feel your sacred balance. Know that all aspects serve a purpose. All experiences teach, and all paths lead home. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, hold it, and breathe out. All right, that's the end of this episode 3, where we talked about our higher and lower selves, our Cain and our Abel. Join us next week for the flood, divine cleansing and renewal. So until then, remember, you are always connecting and connected to Source. Peace and blessing. This is Rev. Stephon.